Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome back. Welcome to. My name is Joe Josh. I go by iChart Daily. Today is December 4th, 2024. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a Bitcoin update. I do potentially think there is some blood on the horizon. Once again, back to 93 to 90. I want to explain why I'm coming up with that idea. I want to explain that trend lines go with the trend indicator. And if you're not doing that, you're going to be crushed every single time. I'm going to try and explain to you long-term trends, predict short-term outcomes. I'm going to explain to you I don't chase green candles. These are rules that I live by so that it takes the emotions out of my trading and investing. The reason why I say that is a lot of people, hypothetically, are up money right now, right? XRP, Chainlink, H-bar, I mean, all of the meme coins, they're all pumping, and now you're sitting on a ton of profit, and people get nervous, right? They don't want to sell too early. They don't want to not take profit, and then they lose all of their money that they put in, right? And they watch their portfolio go back down 20, 30, 40, 50%. So regardless of the ticker, once again, I trust charts over people. There are certain things that I see play out in the charts that basically confirm what the price action should follow, right? So first things first, what I'm seeing in the chart is we are at resistance, right? Resistance is the white line in history. It's been resistance, 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 and now resistance. Purple has been support, 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 and support. So the first thing that I see is a little red bar coming in at resistance, and I buy at support so I could take profit at resistance. That's another rule. Next thing, the bull flag or downward channel did play out. We went right to the next, excuse me, we got to change this. We went right to the next fib, the 1.618. So once again, the next pullback would be back to the 1 or the 70,000, which would fill the CME gap. Once again, I keep having that number in my head. If you go to BTC 1 exclamation point, you could clearly see on the weekly chart that there is a gap from 82 to 77,000. And once again, you don't have to believe me, just scroll left and you can see eventually these gaps do get filled, right? This one here was 37 to 35. It got filled over here, right? This one right here, 62. It got filled here, regardless if it's up or down, right? There was a gap here from 59 to 55. We came down. We filled this gap over here. We filled this gap over here. That's what I mean. Price action thereafter goes back to the gap to quote unquote fill it. Okay, so with that being said, I always have that in the back of my mind. Now, another thing that I noticed was volume coming down, as well as the RSI, excuse me, going from section A, which is above the 70. This is A plus. This is A. This is B. This is B minus. Okay, during a continuation pattern, what do I mean by that? The steps go higher and higher. This is a bull market. During a bear market, you're having continuations to the downside. So because we're still in a bull market, you would want to have your asset consolidate, but stay in section A and use the 50 like it did here and like it did here as a continuation indicator, right? That's what it is. So with that being said, if, once again, big words I use, IF, let's go back to this chart. You can see here on the weekly, I have my alert set at the 69.27. If the RSI was to break down, we are breaking the 92 to 91,000, and our next major support is going to be 72,000. Once again, that's the swing bottom. That's the 50 line because that was previous resistance that will turn into present support, which will act as the 50 line. You could see here previous resistance was the 53. We came down, went to the 50, went to the 50, and we used the 52.362, which was resistance that turned into support. So with that being said, we haven't broke yet, but now we're seeing negative bearish momentum on the daily, right? Because the weekly looks bearish, it's pointing down. Long-term trends predict short-term outcomes. If the weekly and the 5-day and the 3-day and the 2-day and the 1-day are showing me bearish signs, the daily 16, 12, 6, and 4 are most likely going to have bearish outcomes during their price action and their waves, okay? Now, one thing I want to note, I want to show you. This is what I mean by a confirmation. Your MACD volume is coming down on a 2-day, okay? We haven't death crossed yet, but this is the confirmation in my eyes. When your RSI is making higher lows, higher highs, and using the moving average as support, that's bullish. Once again, 30 is oversold, 70 is overbought. This is what I mean by taking the emotions out and trusting the chart. If this was not Bitcoin, or if you didn't know this was Bitcoin and all the surrounding BS news of BlackRock buying and MicroStrategy buying and this one buying, you would just say, buy here, take profit here, right? Don't just put your hand up at the top left of the screen and don't look at the ticker. This is what I mean by a confirmation pattern playing out. And this has happened time and 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 time again and again and again, regardless of the surrounding news, if it was bullish or bearish. This double topping, breaking the moving, using it as resistance, breaking into section A, the next move would to make another lower low, right? Low high, low, lower high, lower low could come back to somewhere over here, right? Then using it as resistance is like, I don't care who says they're buying Bitcoin. That's a clear indication that the momentum is coming down, okay? So I previously said that it happened here, right? We were bullish, bullish, bullish. We made a lower high. We broke the moving average, came down to make a lower low, went all the way up to the 70 to use it as resistance. You could see here this head and shoulders pattern playing out. We broke the neck, broke the low, making another low. This is what I mean with room to bleed. When I open up a short, I wait for the confirmation, and then I know we have room to bleed from the 70 to the 50. Then I wait for it to go to the 50. If I see it's forming a bottom, that means I have room to grow from the 50 to the 70. I'm not a greedy person. I'm not looking to go from 50 to 80, 50 to 70, take 10, 20% off the top, leave the rest for the greed level. So, once again, the weekly looking like poop is giving the shorter time frames the outcome. It's that simple. Long-term trends predict short-term outcomes. If you can't master that, you'll never be a successful trader. So the next thing that I want you to know is trend lines go with trend indicator. The trend indicator is the MACD. You could see we golden crossed here. The trend was going up, okay? Once you see a death cross, your trend, especially in section A, which is above the 0 line, in the case of the MACD, we go flat and we form a top, okay? Once the longer time frames break, you could clearly just look left every time we death cross and started coming down. Your trend lines need to come down. You can't say this is the time to open up a long when all you need to do is go to a 2, 3, 4, or 5-day and look left when you had a death cross or a golden cross. We open up longs at golden crosses. We look for potential shorts during death crosses, and we have room to bleed. The next thing, what I saw is clear support from 92,812 down to these wicks here, right, of 91,316 to 90,707. So the first thing that I was saying was, because we're respecting, let's go back to the daily, you can see it easier. We were respecting this downtrend resistance. We went from 99,000, 99,2, 90,000, 98.6, 97.8, 97.1. Once again, you don't want to look longs, like to open longs, when your MACD is pointing down on these time frames and you're getting confirmations. Literally a break and a retest, and now you're in section A with room to bleed. Not, you know what I'm saying? Longs during the bullish swings when the MACD is going up, shorts when the MACD is going down. It's very simple, okay? So, now, with this pattern playing out, this is a descending triangle. What was resistance turned into support. That's why I'm saying it's going to go to 92 to 90,000. Then this sentiment, the lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, is fueling the weekly RSI to continuously go down. If we were forming the same highs, this would stay flat. But because we're making lower highs, this is pointing down. Once we break the 90,000, big words I have to use. If we were to break the 90,000, this is when we break the 70. And once again, you do not want to mess with long-term trends. That means, once again, right? The last time this played out and we broke and came down and used the 70 as resistance, we went from 70,000 to 55. Last time this happened, we broke and we blah, 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 right? We went from 31,000 to 25. We went from 30,000 to 24, right? So for me to say we could go from 90 to 70 is on the table because I just showed you previously what has happened when certain things happen. I'm not using news articles to justify price action. I'm using what has happened in the past, identifying that trend playing out now, setting alerts, and knowing that if it was to play out again, we're going to that level, right? Especially that there's a CME gap at that level. And because of that, your altcoins are going to bleed, right? Did anyone take profit when XRP went from 50 cents to $2.80 something cents? Majority don't. Why? Because everyone's like, BlackRock's gonna buy $9 trillion worth of XRP. Don't sell, bro. It's up 400% for the month. Instead of going to a chart, this is what I'm teaching you, right? Going to a chart. Once again, all coin. I'm not gonna go. Let me stay on track, Guzzy. Let me stay on track. I'm doing this live, by the way. I don't have the stuff written out. I don't have anyone helping me. I'm doing this live, Cuzzy. One take. Everybody knows the deal. So, what this pattern is playing out now is a top. Okay? This is exit liquidity. This is the news telling you one thing and the indicators are telling you another. This looks like a descending triangle because we're now using this as support, and if we come down, it's support. Usually, these are bearish. And because I'm leaning more bearish, it's because of the weekly showing me weakness, right? I just want to show you something. If we were climbing a mountain, let's just say, just look at the MACD, right? If the wave is going down, we're bearish. Yep, bearish. Is the wave, it looks like it's about to crash, and this is a 3-day, right? So you need 3, 6, 9, maybe 6 to 9 days for this to play out and for this to play out. This is the 4-day. The 4-day looks like poop with volume coming down. This could take 4, 8, 12, 16 days with the RSI about to break the 70, go into section A and use the moving average. If that breaks, the 5-day does it. So set an alert the 5-day 70. That means we need 5, 10, 15 days of this forming its death cross and coming down. And then eventually, this needs 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks for this to play out, death cross, break, fall down, right? It's all a domino effect. So because the weekly looks like poop, I'm expecting the descending triangle to break down. A descending triangle is a measured move. You're supposed to take the meat and potatoes of the flag, right? This is the flag right here. You would duplicate it and then bring it to your breakdown right here. And this is why I can, quote unquote, predict the future. And I said about a week or two ago, 86,000 Bitcoin. You know, people are like, you said 86 and we went up to 97. Yeah, we made a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Could you imagine I said 86 and it plays out the second, third week of December? How about that crystal ball, right? The next liquidity levels are 87 to 85,000, which is the measured move of the descending triangle. Now, once again, this does not play out. This goes down to the 50s, stays the blah, 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 right? And we could stay flat, meaning this does this, this does this, this does this one more time. And then eventually when the 2-day, the 3-day, the 4-day, the 5-day, and then the weekly finally breaks the 70, then we eventually break down to the 87,000. That's Bitcoin for the short term. I will leave you with alerts. First alert is you can see this wick here was the most recent low of 93.6. I have an alert at the 93.7. I want to see if and when we break, and then I want to see if we stop at the 91.988. I also have an alert here at the 96.677, just in case I'm wrong and all of a sudden someone wants to buy Bitcoin blindly without using someone like me skills telling them, right? You think Michael Saylor has all this money and he doesn't have someone who has any technical analysis advice, experience or fundamental analysis experience? He's just like, guys, we're just going to close our eyes and buy. Doesn't make any sense because it's proven that it works, right? I have YouTube videos showing you that it works time and time and time again. So yeah, Michael Saylor is going to wait for the 80s for the CME gap to fill up, and then he'll buy because the asset, regardless if it goes up and down, is still averaging 50 to 60% a month. So what does that mean for altcoins? So let's go to XRP. First things first, let's go to the monthly chart and appreciate that we called it, right? I said, here's a beautiful support resistance chart with a clear liquidation level in the middle here, right? And we said we want to buy at support because the last time this happened with XRP versus Bitcoin, well, once again, just do it yourself. July 2014, March 2017, February 2021, right? And we went from here to here, we pumped, and now you can see here, let's zoom in, I don't chase green candles, right? I take profit at resistance. Now, previously, regardless of what was happening with Ripple, what was happening with the market, who was the president, if I was wearing a mask during Thanksgiving, what the temperature in Florida is, if Ripple was making a partnership, if Ripple's coming out with a new stable coin, yada, 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 yada. Once again, I'm very transparent. I have two bags. I have a long-term bag that I'm holding for my kids for the next 10, 15 years because of all the news surrounding Ripple. And then I have a trading bag, which says, well, when we hit these levels, I am taking profit. And guess what? I have a friend that did not take profit because of the news, and he's waiting for certain $5, $10, $15 per coin. And I said, I'm taking profit at $1.50, $1.75, $2.25, and $2.50. And I take 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, and then if and when we have a pullback, I put the money back in. So let's go over some facts. The last time we went to this level, we saw resistance. The last time we went to this level, we saw resistance. The last time we went to this level, we saw resistance. And previously, we went to this level, say it with me, we saw resistance. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this live with you. I'm going to look at different time frames. I want to see what patterns play out and if there's something potentially on the horizon that I could set an alert so I can notify myself that poo-poo is hitting the fan, because you could clearly see when we saw resistance, and where did we go back to? The bottom of this like yellow box, right? The bottom of this yellow box, right? So now I'm going to go to the XRP versus the dollar chart. I'm going to say, okay, what happened on June 2021, and what happened on September 2021, and what happened on October 2022, and what happened August 2023, right? So let's just do this, right? So the first one was June 2021, okay? I spoiled it, but let's look at it here, right? So June 2021, we went from, right? We went from 42 cents all the way to $1.60, and then May, June, we went from 167 to 51. Now, the next thing I would love to know is, well, how much of a percent is that? It's like 60, 70%. Okay. So we fell and we did a 60-70% correction. Okay, what happened during August, September 21 when we went from the top of the yellow box to the bottom, right? So once again, look at the bottom, September 2021. September 2021, we went from 137 to potentially 56 cents, right? Lower highs, lower lows. We did not break this high. We made a lower high, lower high, lower high. And around September, October, we free falled and broke here. Okay. Now, let's go to the next one. Let's just play devil's advocate, right? Right here was August 23. We went to the top of the box. Took a couple months, but then we went to the bottom of the box. So August 23. August 23. Wow, look at that. It's the biggest pump. We went from like 42 cents to that 95 cents. And then August 23, well, you could count this. We went from 96 cents to 46 cents. So let's pull this out. I'm just curious. This is a 50% correction. This one was a 56% correction. And the other one was a 70, right? Let's just say 70, 60% correction. So if we average it out, right, and we go here and we go down like 50, 60%, well, that's not really great. Right here would be the best scenario, right? 55% back to that $1.28 mark. The reason why I say that is we have broken out of the symmetrical triangle. Symmetrical triangle, just go to Google, type in symmetrical triangle stock pattern, and it'll show you, regardless of the ticker, like I keep telling you, lower highs and higher lows is a symmetrical triangle. What you would usually do is take the meat and potatoes of the flag, bring it to the breakout, which would bring us to, let's just say, $4.59 to potentially $6. I say we're going to $5.89 eventually, because the 589 theory has been going on for literally 5-10 years, but everyone thinks it's going to $589. One thing that I want to teach you as well, anyone that says a cryptocurrency is going to a certain dollar or a certain cent, always go to coinmarketcap.com, look how many coins are in circulation, and then do the math. So let's pull out the calculator. If you say XRP is going to $589, right, you would do 589 times however many coins are in circulation, right? So it's 50 to 100 billion, depending if you're counting how much Ripple has. So let's just do 50 billion, right? That means there needs to be 29 trillion in the market cap for that to be that, because it's just a simple mathematical equation. It's circulating supply plus the dollar plus the value of the asset equals the market cap, right? So that means 29 trillion. If you start Googling what's the market cap of Google, Nvidia, and stuff like that, it's in the couple, right? So are you expecting that much money to just flow into the asset? I think it goes to like $4 to $5, which is a very reasonable market cap, and it lines up with the symmetrical triangle breakout, right? So once again, symmetrical triangles, you had a breakout. Now, what needs to happen to prove to someone like me that this is not a fake out, well, number one, we went way above the symmetrical triangle, so it gives it a very high probability of this playing out. What you'd want to see is a retest of what was resistance, right? The two white lines on the top was resistance. The purple line was support. In order for this to go to that $4, $5, $6 range, you would need to see a retest of this resistance, which lines up with, let's just say, $1.25 to potentially $1.50. You'd want to see support. Then you'd want to see a break to the upside and something like that, like a cup and handle breaks, and then you're at $4 or $5. You do not want to see the asset fall 70% and go back into the symmetrical triangle. If you have an asset that breaks out of resistance and then comes back into the trend, regardless if it's a channel, if it's a falling wedge, if it's whatever, right, the diamond pattern, anytime you have a breakout, if it comes back into the trend, you will use what was resistance as previous resistance, bringing us back to that 75 to 85 cents. Same way, if we were to break, you can see we broke resistance and came back in. We used what was resistance as present resistance, okay? So once again, I don't know if we come back down and break the 150 to 120, right? So this is where risk management comes in. If you know you have potential 30 to 50% blood on the horizon, this is not financial advice, but if I had $1,000 that I wanted to invest into XRP, I would take 50 to 60%, put it in, and keep 40% on the side, right? Because you know that you have this blood on the horizon, this 30, 40, 50%, and then I would still keep about 10% on the side just in case it falls down to 75 to 85 cents. It falls back into the trend. That is the video. I will leave you with some alerts. So first alert, daily, I want to know if we break the 70, and once again, it's the same bearish pattern that you would want to notice. We break the moving average, we break the 70, you use the 70 as resistance. That would be the confirmation that there is room to bleed. You could see the 2-day, once again, was bullish all the way from November 24th. Look at that, right? And we were bullish. Once we break, I'm curious to see if we stop at the 70. If we stop at the 70, we could go flat for a little bit, form a Bart Simpson head or something like that until you get more bearish divergence on the longer time frames. XRP versus Bitcoin, the most important thing is I'm setting an alert here at the last low, 0.000002332. That notifies me that we are coming back into the yellow box. So let me show something, right? Tops need to form. It's not just like up, down, right? There needs to be exit liquidity. You can see here it took us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days to form a top. Your MACD forms its top, your RSI goes bearish, and then you break in. I am literally saying it on day 1, right? Just based off previous price action, right? Top of the box, bottom of the box, top of the box, bottom of the box, oversold, overbought. So this could take 4, 5, 6 days of staying flat, letting the longer time frames show you that bearish divergence is playing out, right? That we break the 70, you start seeing the daily death cross, you notice the 2-day death cross, then you notice the 3-day death cross. So that's number 1, right? I would also set an alert here at the point 0.00002020, notifying you that real poo-poo's hitting the fan and real blood's on the horizon. On the 12-hour, I would set an alert here at the $2.18, notifying you that your next level of 190 to potentially 196 is on the horizon. That would show you that we're breaking the 70, going down to the 50, and yada yada, all the other stuff that I just told you. That's that. Love you guys. You can see here we're now at 94,000, down almost $1,000, and the next alert, once again, is here, 93,771. Once again, long-term trends predict short-term outcomes. If you're seeing the wave coming down, we remain flat and then eventually break down. Shorts on death crosses, longs when there's golden crosses. Very simply put, if you just longed here, right, we went from 54 all the way to 58, you still would have been profitable from 58 all the way to 66. Enjoy the day. I love you guys. Thank you for supporting the community tab. Once again, I'm getting mixed feelings about making another Discord. I might do Fiverr just so that I can still take requests from everybody. Because once again, my goal is to grow this YouTube channel, not to grow a Discord. If you do have any comments, questions, concerns, leave it in the comment section. If you appreciate this, what I do me a favor, just like the video. It helps with the algorithm. I am going to post, because I do appreciate all the support, I'm going to post in the community tab later today, what should my next video be? the coin or asset. I really don't care what the ticker is. If you guys want me to chart Nvidia or Tesla, MO, I don't care. It's all the same to me. The one with the highest likes and comments will be the one chosen. Besides that, enjoy the day. Stay warm.